I'm not going to get into the weeds with this because this whole mess has exploded into a million tangents that we could spend forever talking about, but the core of it is this. Numerous women have come forward and accused famous voice actor Vic Mignogna of sexual assault, including several voice actors who've worked with him. These accusations line up pretty well with the reputation he's had for the last decade or two of behaving inappropriately with fans, cosplayers, and other industry professionals. So I wasn't really that surprised to see something like this situation happen, because our culture's been primed to not tolerate this kind of ongoing behavior anymore. And maybe I should have known better, but I didn't expect the fan reaction to be what it is. I feel like all I keep hearing is a long line of people saying the same thing, asking where's the evidence? And here's the thing. These kinds of advances happen suddenly, in private locations, and in many cases happened years ago. Sometimes you'll get lucky and there'll be some tangible trace of the encounter to add weight to the story, but in most cases, the best and most detailed evidence is what the victims have to say, and how that aligns with his known behavior. And an alarmingly high number of people seem ready to throw out any allegation of bad behavior that doesn't come bundled with video evidence and a signed confession from the accused, which is incredibly disrespectful and demeaning to people who have already been through enough. Don't forget, we're talking about people who did their best to keep these events a secret for years, out of fear or shame or self-loathing, until finally reaching a point where they feel they can stop suffering in silence. Why come out all at once like this? Because it's easier to step forward when you know you're not alone, when you see other people just like you who had the same thing happen to them. I saw one person come forward because she has a young daughter who's becoming a fan of Vic's and was terrified that the same thing that happened to her could happen to her child. And that's the kind of motivation you need if you're going to speak out against someone who's not only a big name in his industry, but also has a veritable legion of fans willing to protect him at all costs. None of this is about the actions of Funimation, or individuals doing idiotic things on social media. It isn't even about one side versus the other. It's about a very long pattern of bad behavior that's gone overlooked because for longer than any of us have even been alive, our society has disincentivized women from speaking out and then largely ignored them when they did. And when I look at the community and how most people seem to be reacting to this, what I see is an example of why a victim would choose not to come forward. To avoid this, a million armchair quarterbacks picking apart and overanalyzing every word, mostly through the lens of not wanting it to be true. Something I feel is incredibly important is to remember that despite how it might feel otherwise, we don't know him. We don't know Vic Mignogna. We formed attachments because of his roles, we've seen him at cons and in interviews, so it feels like we have this one-sided friendship with him. But we only know the persona he adopts when he speaks publicly. And a lot of the stories emerging in all of this are coming from other professionals in his industry who get to see a side of him that we don't. We have never seen the person Vic is behind closed doors when he can truly be himself. And the people who have are the ones speaking out. Nothing about this feels like some grand conspiracy to take down a nice guy. This feels like people finally getting fed up with decades of bad behavior and doing something about it. And that can be hard to swallow. It's hard for me. I'm a fan of Vic Mignogna. I love his work. I think he deserves every accolade he's ever received. I think he elevates every dub he's a part of. But that's based entirely on his talent as a voice actor. And whether or not he's good at doing his job of producing work that's meaningful to fans is irrelevant. We do not get to decide what's true. None of us do. We only get to discover what's true. And an unfortunate consequence of that is the fact that it does not matter what we want to be true. It doesn't matter that we're fans of Vic Mignogna. It doesn't matter if he's worked on our favorite series or voiced our favorite characters. Because the sad reality is that absolutely everything that we love about Vic can still be true if he's guilty. We like to think that it's more black and white than that there's a clear delineation between good and bad people. But a person who does terrible things can still be a gifted artist. And there's nothing wrong with appreciating their work. But their art doesn't excuse them, and our fandom has to take a back seat to more important things. If you want to voice your opinion on all of this in the comments, please do. Just keep it civil. I'm not here to fight with anybody. Thank you for taking the time. I'll talk to you again soon.